Welcome to College King's Day. I'm Donna Calandres. I am a counselor here at Chaffey College and an Umoja coordinator, one of the founders of the statewide organization, and an elder. Welcome. Black History Month is an annual celebration of achievements by African Americans and a time for recognizing their central role in US history. Also known as African American History Month, the event grew out of Negro History Week, the brainchild of noted historian Carter G. Woodson and other prominent African Americans. Since 1976, every US president has officially designated the month of February as Black History Month. Other countries around the world, including Canada and the United Kingdom, also devote a month to celebrating Black history. Here at Chaffey College, the Umoja program celebrates Black history along with the Center for Cultural and Social Justice and our Student Government Office. Black History Month is an acknowledgement of our ancestors who through their work, their perseverance and suffering made it possible for us to celebrate. Let the celebration begin. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Calandres. All right. Hello, everyone. Well, let us begin. Again, I'm Professor Charles Williams from the English department, and I want to start off with three things, and I'll try and make them quick. First is, this is, I believe, day 3 of our celebration. This is I think the third or the fourth event this month. Yesterday was Queen's Day. I'm not sure how many of you attended. Today is King's Day. And to not be outdone, the Queens discussed an African queen. So we want to start off with just a couple minutes discussing an African king. Here, if I can push the right buttons and get things going. All right. Got too many things open here. Admit. All right. I want to take a couple minutes and say some words about one African king that we want to spend a little bit of time talking about, and that's Haile Selassie. Some of you might know him as the Lion of the tribe of Judah. He's revered as deity to the Rastafarian religion, in part because he can trace his lineage to the Queen of Sheba, which some of you who've read the Judeo-Christian ethic, the Bible, you know that King Solomon married the Queen of Sheba. And he's a king, and all feudalists have their flaws, but we want to celebrate some of his strengths. And I want to start off by saying this is a king that established the first written constitution in Africa. He represented a country that was never colonized. And he worked intensely with the organization of African unity. But most importantly, and this is the thing that just grabs my attention, is his intense fight against Italian fascism. During World War II, he was exiled. The Italians took over and established sort of a fascist rule. He stayed in constant communication with his people, inspired them to stay strong, but most importantly, he convinced the Allied forces, including the British, to get involved. There's nobody who was able to do that to Bill Clinton to get Bill Clinton involved with Rwanda. So this is a heroic feat. So I just wanted to take a couple minutes and stay true to the tradition and say something about an African king. One more thing I want to say, and I want to share my screen again to say a little bit about Umoja. This is an organization that has a team of teachers and counselors who are committed to promoting a series of principles amongst their students. And what I'm showing you is one principle that I want us to think about as we move throughout this program. And there are 9 principles, but the one that we want to focus on today is called manifesting. And I've highlighted a little bit in blue. It might be a little bit too much reading for some of you, but I'll just highlight a couple sentences here. Students should intentionally bring their learning into the community and share with their family, folks that support them, their friends, who could benefit and be edified. I'll stop right there, but I want to just have us think about this as we move throughout this program. As you hear some powerful information, I want you to think about what you can take from this, what you can apply to your life. And maybe you're thinking, well, I don't know if I can apply anything, but you might know other people who you can share this information with. So having said that, I'm going to move on to my third and final thing, which is to kind of set up what this program is about today. When we talk about African-American males, we find ourselves in precarious discussions that often are dark and negative. But what's often forgot or what's often overlooked are some really powerful statistics. Like 54% of African-American men are in the middle or upper class. Like you have a smaller percentage of African-American males in poverty than any other ethnic group. Right? These are radical stats that we often don't necessarily think about. And when we try and figure out, well, how did some become successful? The common denominator is agency. Agency means being an agent, feeling that you are an agent in your own life. As a grammarian, I like to think about it in terms of a sentence, that I'm the subject of the sentence. John hit the ball. I'm John. I'm the one doing the work. I'm not the ball. I'm not getting hit. And our presenters are all agents. They've all taken great control of their own lives and their destinies. They are witnesses, not victims. So they're going to share some of their survival strategies with you. And I think you might want to get ready and take some good notes. So having said that, before we move into our first presenter, I just got one quick question. I'm going to stop sharing and I want somebody to let me know, am I talking too loud? If not, then great. This is a good tone. Let's maintain this kind of tone and project our voices, presenters. And we are about to begin. Our first presenter will be Dean Mclaren, followed by Dr. D.
Professor Williams, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for me to be here today. My name is Michael Mclaren. I'm the Dean of Counseling, Enrollment Pathways, and Kinesiology, Nutrition, and Athletics at Chaffey College. This is my third year here at Chaffey. I've been in the community college system for over 20 years, and it's just been a pleasure to work at a community college in which it's in a community in which I reside. I want to thank everyone who put this program together today. It took a lot of effort. Professor Williams, Donna Calandras, everyone else who's been involved with this, thank you very much. Just to share a little bit about myself, I attended a four-year college right out of high school. I went to the University of Oregon as a scholarship football player. I was also a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I completed my undergraduate degree with a double major in rhetoric and communications and history. I also received earned three master's degrees. I have a master's in a master's in educational counseling, a master's in leadership and management, and a master's in kinesiology. In 2013, I took that long journey of completing my terminal degree from California State University, Long Beach, Cal State Long Beach, and higher ed leadership. I have a background in counseling, and I worked for 17 years as a tenure track counseling faculty leader at Pasadena City College, where I was a counselor and I enjoyed it. And today I want to talk to you a little bit about transferring. This is something that's near and dear to my heart. To see students of color in college in general is very exciting. But what I don't see is a lot of students of color who have confidence in the transfer process. And I want to assure you that Chaffey College and the wonderful people who work here at Chaffey College, who are part of our community, are more than willing to assist you with that process. One of the things that I'm most proud of is God has blessed me to earn 6 degrees, but the thing that I'm most proud of is the fact that I do not have any student loans. So it's very important to start thinking about how you're going to finance your education. That is critical. So many times we rush to get degrees without really knowing how that's going to apply into our careers. I think it's very important for you to find a transfer institution that fits who you are as a person. You want to have a full and healthy experience when you transfer to a four-year university. And so if you start that process early on, it is extremely helpful. One of the things that I've noticed as well is the fact that there's so many scholarships that are available to students, specifically students of color. And sometimes we don't take the time to do the things that we need to do to apply for those scholarships. And I want to urge you and encourage you to apply for as many scholarships as you can and to not limit yourself. Set those expectations high. If your expectations are to attend at Cal State, that's great. Try to find a way where you can get that financed. One of the things I try to push in the community also is the fact that if you're really smart about how you maneuver, you can get your college degrees paid for. And one of the ways you can do that is simply by getting a job at Starbucks. If you work 20 hours a week at Starbucks, you can go to Arizona State University for free online. And a lot of students don't know that, but you have to stay, in order for you to qualify that, you have to be employed at Starbucks to do that. So I want to encourage you to look into opportunities like that, as well as opportunities at UPS. Some of these companies are really trying to give back to communities, and it's very important that you take the time to understand and be informed about what's available to you. The other thing I want to talk about is fitness. One of the things that's extremely helpful to me is we have a lot of stress and anxiety in our lives, especially over this last 10, 11 months. And it is so important for us to think about, as Black males, to think about our health, okay? And to be fit. And being fit is not always looking like, you're a bodybuilder. That's not what I'm thinking. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to eating the right foods, making sure that you're doing some form of exercise every single day, whether that's walking, whether that's joining a gym, whatever it is that you need to do. I found that has been very helpful for me. I've been part of a workout team for the last 15 years. We work out at 4:30 in the morning, 5 days a week, and it's very intense, and I love it. It's a big part of my life. I get a lot of encouragement from the people I work out with. I feel like I'm ready for my day. I feel like very confident in what I do as a leader here at Chaffey College. So those are two of the areas that I really would want Black males specifically to pay attention to, because there are several opportunities out there for you, and I don't want you to limit yourself. And I will put my information in the chat. If there's any way that I can be helpful to you, I would really love to do that. And I just want to congratulate you, first of all, for being in college. That's a major step, because one of the things that I'm paying attention to on a national level is that since 1976, really the Black males, we haven't increased the number of Black males that are in higher education. And I would like to see that number increase. So my expectations are high for you. Your expectations should be high for yourself. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Thank you, Dean. And you are going to put something in the chat, correct?
Correct.
Wonderful. All right. Fantastic. Well, next up will be Dr. DeFrapeles. I saw him somewhere. He's going to go.
Hi. Good morning.
Great. All right. You're followed by Professor Richard May.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. And again, thank you, Dr. Calandras, and everyone else, Tiffany and Charles. Thank you all for putting this together. I'm honored to be asked to talk directly to our students, to give them some advice. I chose the topic study strategies or study tips. The reason being, I'm generally having this experience with a lot of my students where they do struggle with the amount of reading materials that they're given. And I don't think it's a case that they can't do the reading. I think it's a case of time management and just being overwhelmed, looking at the syllabus and kind of being overwhelmed by this. And this concerns me actually quite a bit, because I like to think about my students. I would love to see especially our young African-American brothers here. I'd love to see you all transfer to other schools. I'd love to see you guys transfer out to Berkeley, UCLA, Stanford, and I believe strongly that you all have the capacity to do this. I seldom do I come across a situation where it's a question of ability. It's more often, again, I see people sometimes feeling overwhelmed. So I wanted to just kind of relate my own experiences in dealing with this, and just give you a little bit of background about myself. I don't want to talk, go too much into my personal history, but I was a returning student. I returned to school at 39 and completed my undergraduate degree, my master's, and my PhD within, 7 years, I believe, right? I'd been a community college. I was a high school dropout. I got a GED. I started out in community colleges. And so I suffered from this imposter syndrome, or this sense that I wasn't smart enough or good enough or didn't fit in, or I would not necessarily have access to higher education. I discovered later in life that I actually had these abilities. But one of the things that I had to do was to kind of learn how to manage my time, and how to learn how to manage, reading assignments. When we get into grad school, it was, one seminar was 3 books in 1 week. So I just want to give some strategy. So one of the things that you're going to get as you go on in your higher education in the humanities, especially if you're taking history courses, and I hope you're taking African American history courses, is you're going to be asked to read. You're going to be asked to read, 3-4 books a semester. This is not unusual in undergraduate history classes. And I know this can be overwhelming. They say that, the conventional wisdom is you should devote 3 hours to every credit hour that you're taking, right? In terms of studying, right? So if you have a three unit class, 9 hours. Now I understand better than anyone. I was a working student. I was a poor student, that a lot of times you might not be able to give that 9 hours. I know that that's the reality. So here's a shortcut that I always took, is whenever I approached, whether it was an article that I was assigned, a scholarly article, or a book, a tome, like, Black Reconstruction by W.E.B. Du Bois, something massive. What I always did was I read the introduction first, right? I took copious notes, underline, not highlight, underline with a pen, write notes in the margins, and then I read the conclusion, right? And I made sure I understood those two. And then as time permitted, I would read the beginnings and the endings of each chapter of the book. You might not get through every single chapter, but what you will do is you will have a basic understanding of what the material is in that document, which is what your instructors are looking for you to have. Okay. And again, this was a strategy I used, again, working and going to graduate school, right? And it's a way that you can approach the material and not feel so overwhelmed by it. And I think, and part of this, and I don't want to get too much into the psychology of it, but I think it is important it's important how you view yourself in these institutions, and that you view yourself as worthy of being here and as able to do the work. In fact, if you come from the kind of, and I'm not blowing my own horn, but if you come from the kind of background I came from, foster care, high school dropout, GED, right? These kinds of things, you probably are more equipped, right, than a lot of other people, a lot of other folks who haven't had to deal with the challenges you've had to deal with, right? And haven't had to be creative about creating strategies to get through these classes, right? In addition to what I've spoken of, again, kind of parsing out these reading assignments, introduction, conclusion, then chapter by chapter, right? In addition to that, again, even if you can't put aside, 6 hours per class, put aside some block of time where you're devoting yourself to you have a specific amount of time you're devoting to each class that you're taking. Okay. I really think if you're taking a 3-unit course, it should be 5-6 hours. That's just the real. I understand this is difficult, but again, it's about structuring your time. It's about setting your priorities. That said, I'll put my email in here as did Professor Mclaren before me. And I'm always open to. I'm very much committed to helping and to giving any kind of assistance I can to African American male youth. We are the most in terms of, and I understand the statistics, and there's the statistics and there's the reality that we don't have, there's not a high retention rate for African American youth. That's something that concerns me. I would like African American male youth in particular, and I would like to see a lot more of you young men, right, transferring into these schools and being well represented in academia, in the classrooms, right? And I see this as part of our overall struggle, our attack on white supremacy, but also our struggle to demand and claim our own humanity. And I think I've used up my 5 minutes, haven't I, Charles?
I stopped looking at the clock. It was so
Okay.
good. Thank you.
So I'm gonna stop because I can go on all day. But anyway, thank you very much again for having me. I am honored, and I hope that what I've said has been useful. I'm gonna put my email in the comments, and to the young brothers out there, this is King's Day to all y'all out there. Feel free to shoot me an email. It might take me a minute, but I will get back to you. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Dr. DeFropoulos. Okay. Next up, we have Richard May, followed by Brett Mclaren. And full disclosure, Richard May is my man. He, whether you like it or not, he kind of helped me put this program together. So if it's good, I'll take the credit, right? If it goes bad,
and I'll take extra credit. I'll take the extra credit, okay. All right. Okay, man. I'm just so excited. I want to thank Professor Williams and Dr. Calandras for your vision and just your intentionality in putting this all together. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever bought a brand new car? Ever leased a car before? The beauty about having a new car is that no problems are going to happen mechanically for at least, maybe like a year or two. And leasing a car, you could drive it, then turn it in, and then get something new. But you can't do your body like that. You got one body, okay, one body. And, I want to talk about high blood pressure, hypertension. And, I read a stat, it said that African Americans are leading in high blood pressure or hypertension, and that's not a good thing if we're leading in it. So I want to just address briefly, what is hypertension or high blood pressure? I want to define it. And then I want to talk about, some strategies that you can use, because again, let's see, my parents, they've been married almost 50 years. They are 78 years old each, and I'm 56. So I thought to myself, when I go buy a car, it's like they finance it, based on like lots of factors, 3-year, 5-year, whatever. And then the car's paid off, So I thought to myself, okay, if I'm 56 years old and my parents are 78 years old, if I take 22 years, because I'll be that age, and multiply it times 365, my number is, it's about 8,040 days. So theoretically, I have 8,040 days left on this planet. Theoretically, okay, I want to live longer, but hey. So if African Americans are leading in high blood pressure, hypertension, what are some strategies that we can use? Well, first of all, high blood pressure is when your blood pressure, the force of your blood pushing against the walls of your blood vessels, is consistently too high. And basically, the primary way that high blood pressure causes harm is by increasing the workload of the heart and blood vessels, making them work harder and less efficiently. Bottom line is that, your heart can't multitask. There's a phrase, work smarter, not harder. So, what kinds of things can we do? You can Google, high blood pressure figures, what's healthy, what's not so healthy. But what causes high blood pressure is, like, a lot of times not managing stress properly, diet, what you put in your body. I had a student in my class many years ago, and by the way, I teach in communication studies. And my student, he shared a story in a speech, and he said that he was out with his friends and they had a dare contest, and they dared everybody if they could drink, 5 Red Bulls. Now, when you're young, it's like, hey, I'm like Superman, I can try this out. Well, this young guy at 20 years old had to go to emergency, and he damaged his heart, okay, his heart. Not the same anymore. So that story is extreme, but how can we manage our stress level? How can we manage our diet, what goes in our body? How do you manage exercise? Because those things right there can keep your heart healthy, things that you can actually have control over. So when it comes to managing stress, I want to read a couple things to you. How do you do a 60-second reality check to gain perspective and reduce stress? Number 1, does this really matter to me? Does it really matter? Number 2, in the grand scheme of things, how big a deal is this? Is it a true catastrophe? Will it be a big deal in 24 hours? Will it be a big deal in 1 week? Number 3, am I taking it too personally? Number 4, if I react now, will it be helpful or will it make things worse? Number 5, would it make sense for me to think through the situation and then decide how to react? Number 6, are my thoughts and actions hurting me? So we could come up with more things to manage stress, like having a good, healthy support system. Who do you go to when the world is caving in? Do you have people around you who are going to tell you what you want to hear? Or are there people around you who will really encourage you, challenge you, and tell you the truth? So that's managing stress. Diet. Okay, diet. I know fast food is everywhere. It's high in sodium. So high sodium will definitely affect your heart. So foods, healthier foods, fresh vegetables, reducing red meat, turkey, chicken, baking it versus frying it. You could Google all those things. You could Google, what are some foods that promote better heart health, exercise. Some of you may not have time to join a gym. And of course, with COVID going on, it's pretty risky at times if you do. But you can walk around the block with a mask on, if you got to go to Costco, is that parking space right near the entrance really that important? Because when I go to Costco, I park far, not too far, but far where I can walk. Going to any kind of a building for anything, I use the stairs instead of the elevator. So there are lots of ways you could really incorporate some type of exercise in your life, and then, hey, in the end, you won't be like that car where you're driving it and the check engine light goes on. You wonder, oh no, what's going on here? Or the battery light is going on, or the car overheats. So again, you can't turn your body in and get a brand new one like you turn a car in or buy a brand new car. So to sum things up, all you got is one body. Take care of it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay, next we have Brett Mclaren. Then we're going to have a brief commercial break, followed by Thomas Tucker II.
Charles, am I able to share my screen at all?
I believe so. Do you have the button down there? If not, I
do. Okay. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Brett Mclaren. I'm a general counselor here at Chafee. I'm also an emotional counselor. I've been here for going into my 3rd year. This is my 3rd year now. And yeah, I want to express the same sentiments and thank you to Dr. Calandris and Charles for putting this together. I hope that we all will have an opportunity to kind of meet in these spaces some more and just kind of talk about, you know, how everybody's doing, checking in. I know this is a super important time for our mental health and just making sure that we're connected in a virtual world. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today, and I put in the chat, is certificates, some free certificates that if you're a student in here that you can do. If you are a professor or staff, you can maybe encourage your students to do. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. One of the things that I've noticed in counseling, especially in my work as a career counselor, is students have oftentimes they'll work so hard on getting their degrees done that they forget about getting work experience to build their resume, or vice versa, right? And I think that sweet spot is really having the opportunity to kind of build your resume while you're taking classes. So by the time that you earn your degree, you have some stuff on your resume that proves that you can do some things. And so what I have here are some mandated reporter training certificates that come right from the California Department of Social Services. They're completely free. So if you are thinking about, or if you're working with students who are thinking about maybe getting into teaching, maybe getting into therapy, any type of working with other folks, there's mandated reporter training that they can do through the CDSS that is completely free. All it takes is a little bit of your time. And so you can do the general training, school personnel, childcare provider certificates, all of them, any combination of them. Once you finish them, the CDSS will send you a printed certificate in your email with your name on it to show and to be able to prove that you've completed this training. So it's a really great opportunity to build your resume. If you're not able to work, if you're not able to get internships, maybe you're already in a position where you're not able to get something else, a volunteer opportunity to build your resume further. It's a really, really great opportunity to get a certificate or some certificates from the real deal, a real deal service, right? This isn't some kind of hokey online place where you get certificates. This is the real deal. This comes from the California Department of Social Services, and a great opportunity to build your resume towards whatever goal that you might be looking to do, and really have some of that training as it relates to mandated reporting. Let me go ahead and unshare my screen there. And again, I put that link in the chat there for you. You can download that link, click on that and go ahead and do that training at any time. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna have a quick commercial break and actually a giveaway. I'm going to flash an image on the screen, and whoever can, hopefully you have access to your chat. If you can type this name, the name of the person in this picture, the first person, you're winning a Chafee College face mask. Now, there are actually 10 people in this picture, but I need you to identify the most important person, the leader. All right, so are we ready? Oh, you might be ready, but I'm not. I lost it. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. All right, here we go. Can anybody identify the most important person in this picture here? Somebody's got to be able to do it. Anybody but Richard May. He knows. I'm gonna give you guys about another 10 seconds, and
When you say most important, do you mean like the band leader?
here we go. The band leader. That's it. If I would have said that, that would have was a giveaway, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does anybody know?
Isn't that Count Basie?
Oh, so close, but so far off.
Oh,
so
man.
Far off. All right, that was Duke Ellington.
That was the dude.
Hey, I had him in the chat.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Oh, you did get it. Yeah, he did.
All right. I can't remember who
Got it.
Nick and Kimmy. Somebody's helping me in the chat. I completely forgot to look. I got so caught up thinking that this might have been too hard. But let me get to the point. One of the things that I want us to think about on King's Day is I want us to think about people who had a significant role in shaping the world that we live in. And the primary focus is on African Americans, but African Americans have contributed so much to the world that this event isn't just for African Americans. I see lots of my students here, and I think you can pick up stuff from this as well. Let me tell you a quick story about Duke Ellington. 2 points. Number one, when his band got hot, he made a deal with his agent to give his agent 50% of his earnings. Now, professional athletes these days give about 15%. Michael Jordan's agent only took 12. He said, I'd rather have 12% of Michael Jordan's money than 15% of anybody else's money. Duke Ellington gave his agent half because Duke Ellington's logic was this: I don't want to have to deal with racism. I don't want to have to deal with any problems. All I want to do is be an artist. And this is why if you ever see interviews with Duke Ellington, he's a little lofty, he's a little out there because he was insulated from racism. He found a way to defend himself. And so he had the hottest band in the world, and they were traveling around the United States of America, and they would play in top tier hotels, 5-star hotels. But after their performance, they couldn't stay in those hotels because they were all Black. Duke Ellington, his famous quote is, "A problem is an opportunity for success." So he didn't see that as a problem. He just talked to his manager, and this is what they did. They converted boxcars, trains, into 5-star hotels on wheels. And they only played in cities that they could travel to. Now, what I'm talking about is agency. What I'm talking about is somebody empowering themselves, looking at a situation and saying, how can I find my way through this? And that's exactly what all of our presenters have been doing so far. It's giving you strategies on how you can be an agent in your own life. All right, we're going to keep it going. That's the end of the commercial break. I don't see you, Nick, but I see Kimmy. Can you guys make sure I don't screw up the chat and forget some names? All right, we're going to move forward with.
I'm writing them down.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Got you.
Thank you. Thomas Tucker II. And I think that's important to point out, right? And after Thomas Tucker, George Hicks.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm super excited to be here. And I'd like to say, Charles, I would like to donate my mask to one of the students. So if one of the students needs a mask or somebody you think is really deserving of it, go ahead and hand that off to them. I think that'd be amazing. But that picture was like, oh, that's like every other documentary I've ever seen. So anyway, all right, I'm gonna start my little timer. Charles really made my point about what I want to talk about, which is preparedness. And everything we've been thinking about this morning and talking about this morning has been leading us down the road of preparedness. Mr. Mclaren told us about getting your pre-career experience so that you can take that resume into your whatever field and say, hey, I've done this before. One of my pieces of advice to a friend of mine back in the day, he was about 15, and he kept saying he wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor. He wanted to be a doctor. He's not doing that these days. He's into fashion, but that's another story. I kept telling him, I said, go to the hospital, get you a job in the mailroom at 15, work on the weekends, and get you some experience in a hospital. I said, because as you're reading, as you're sorting mail, you get to know Dr. So-and-so where his office is. As you're sorting the mail, you start to see medical terminology. As you're sorting the mail, you're hearing medical situations going on in the hospital. You hear about how this emergency happened and that emergency happened. And you're in a hospital, you're in that culture, you're in that environment. And when you go to the administrators in the hospital as a 15-year-old, you graduate high school, you can say, I've been in this hospital for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, working. Can I have a scholarship? All of a sudden you've got money for school. You're prepared to take yourself into the college experience. I'll get into what I have prepared for you today. And my first thing I do is the definition of whatever I'm trying to talk about. The definition of preparedness is properly expectant, organized, or equipped and ready. That's the simple definition from the dictionary. The quote that I came up with of my own is, if hard work is the key to success, then preparedness is the key ring. How many times have you ever gone into a situation and you took your keys off the key ring and had them loose in your pocket, loose in your backpack, loose in your car? Almost never, right? You've always had a key ring or some kind of fob or whatever that held those keys together so that when you went to open the door to your house, it was on your key ring. When you went to open the door in your garage, it's on your key ring. When you went to open your car, it's on your key ring. You're prepared to get into all those places, right? And a lot of us have heard the quote that success what is it? Luck is opportunity meeting preparedness. When you're ready to take advantage of the opportunity, that's when luck happens. A lot of us don't believe in luck, and I agree with that. I believe in being prepared and being ready for the situation. But when you're ready for the situation, when the opportunity comes, when that hard work, the key of hard work is on your key ring of preparedness, when the door opens, you just walk through. You don't have to go, well, hold on, let me go get my resume. Hold on, let me go get my uniform. Hold on, let me go get my, you're already ready. So be prepared, get your key ring together, get your keys ready, get your hard work set up, and then you can go forward. The time is going quick on me. I read a quote from Abraham Lincoln that said, if you give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. For those of you who haven't ever cut a tree down, if you use a new chainsaw blade, a new chainsaw chain, the tree comes down quick. If you use the one that your dad's had for 20 years in the garage, it's going to take you some time. Experience has taught me that. I've done it before. If you use an old axe, it's going to take you some time. If you got a sharp axe, it's going to go quickly. If your axe is sharp, if your education is completed, if your housework is already done, for those of you who are living with your parents, when you want to walk out the door, because my mom used to do this to me all the time, when you want to walk out the door and the trash hasn't been taken out, your room hasn't been cleaned, the floor hasn't been swept or mopped, or whatever you've been asked to do in that position, when you walk out the door to hang out with your buddies on Friday night, your mom and your dad's going to go, say what? You were supposed to take care of X, Y, and Z. If you haven't done that, you can't go. You were not prepared to walk out the door to have a good time with your friends. I've got a list of things on here that go through preparedness. I'm not going to be able to get to them all because, like I said, my time is moving. But one thing I did that makes a lot of sense to me is that I went through some different types of preparation, because a lot of us think, oh, well, you just got to have your money right and you're going to be all right. It's not always true. Financial preparation is critical. Mental preparation is critical. Emotional preparation is critical. Professional preparation is critical. You have to have these things in place so that when the opportunities come to you, you're ready to take advantage of them. Before I get off of here, my time is winding up. I want to give a shout out to my wife. She joined us in the Zoom today. I'm excited to have her with me. My boys are in school, so they couldn't be here jumping on with me. But be ready for your opportunity, because when it comes, you want to be able to take advantage of it. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. And I told you guys, hopefully you're taking notes. Hopefully you're doing that. But Thomas, can you tell us what department you're from? And also, if you want that additional information, you can plug that in the chat as well.
Will do. Okay, I'm in IT. Myself and another gentleman, Michael Bannon, we work on most of the classroom technology. So when you walk into the classroom and you've got projectors and instructors, the computers for the teachers and the speakers and the things of that nature, and you walk in, when you go back to campus, you'll start seeing some of the classrooms have microphones and cameras in them. We install those and make sure that those are up and running for you all. So if you can find Dr. Shannon's office, you can find me, because I'm literally like 6 steps from him on the corner in that small building down on the south side of campus.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Now, this is another personal moment here. George Hicks, we've never met. Hello, I'm Charles Williams. We've only emailed. Go ahead and introduce yourself and take it away. But before you do that, the next person up is Isaiah Whitfield. I saw him earlier. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. I am just honored to be here today, and I thank you for this time. I'm usually very long-winded, so I'm going to move along quickly. I'm an adjunct professor of business in the Business and Applied Technology Department, and I want to talk about priorities today. A little bit about me. I too was a high school dropout and got a GED. I'm a community college graduate from East LA Community College. And I went on to do a bachelor's degree from University of San Francisco and an MBA in leadership from Grand Canyon University. So I just have the greatest amount of respect for students in the community college as a way to prepare yourself for education and growth. And I want to talk about priorities because it's so important. I've heard so many presentations so far on preparedness and fitness and study tips and health. And so we kind of get to decide what's important to us, but the importance of understanding priorities is that if you understand those priorities, then you don't miss out on accomplishing or doing something that is important, particularly if you miss out on that by doing things that are less important. If you have ever missed an opportunity, missed a deadline, a birthday, a business event, anything that was a priority because you just completely forgot and dropped the ball, then you can understand what I'm talking about. I am currently on the faculty with 4 colleges and universities. I receive about 125 emails a day from about 5 email accounts. And if I'm not real careful about this, I'll drop a big ball trying to hold on to a small one. You know, the Merriam-Webster dictionary describes a priority in part as a condition of being more important than something or someone else, and therefore coming or being dealt with first. And so that's what it is about priorities. We have to put systems in place, we have to put things in place to make sure that those most important priorities are done, whatever we decide is number one. So we know that we have priorities if we know these things. First of all, not all things get the same amount of time allotted to them. I used to have a system where everything was laid out and I just jump in and say, I've got to do all this anyway, I may as well start here. That's the wrong way to think. You need to know that not the same amount of time is going to be allotted to each task. Another thing is not all things at the same level of attention or effort. There's some things where detail is very, very important. It's like the quantity versus quality argument. Some things, it's just important to crank out a lot of them, but some things have to be done very well. If I'm going to prioritize and make sure that the things that are important get done and get done properly, I need to be aware of that. And we need to know that not all things get well done. Not all things have to be well done. Sometimes it's just as simple of pass or fail. It doesn't have to be done very well. So I don't want to put a whole lot of attention to that at the expense of something else that's more important that needs to be done well and miss those more important things. And you know what? You don't have a system of priorities if you don't know that some things just will not get done at all. Vision this. You can juggle 10 balls in the air at one time, and then ball number 11 comes into your view, comes into your hands. What do? Do you just keep juggling and let one drop? No, we have the choice. And so we learn to decide, I'm not going to do this thing at all because it's number 11 on my top 10 list. If we don't know these things, we don't have any priorities. When I'm finished with this presentation, I'm going to put my email in the chat. There's a short PowerPoint that goes along with this, and it's good for notes. So if you want that, email me and I will get that to you. There was a series of a seminar by Fred Pryor seminars. It was about managing multiple projects and priorities and deadlines. And I took this several years ago, and it was awesome the way they looked at things. They looked at 4 categories of things that you have to do. One is a thing that's high priority and that's due right now. Those are the things I jump on right now. They're high priority, I have to do them well and meet the deadline. But there are also things that are high priorities that are due later. So I want to make sure that I do those, but I got a little more time to work on those. So the first category, high priority and due right now, goes before those. The third category is not a high priority, but if I'm going to do it at all, it's due right now. And so that's one of those things. Maybe I don't put a whole lot of effort in, but I get it done by the deadline. And the fourth category on the list was things that are not a high priority and things that are not due right now. Those things we learned, you don't do them at all. If they're not a high priority, they're not due right now. If I'm very, very busy, I won't get to those things. The important thing is that I don't drop a ball. Some of the things that I missed that were really, really important, I've missed a deadline, a hiring process. I missed my wife's birthday one time, many, many years ago. Not that it wasn't a priority, but because I did not prioritize and make sure that I had a system, be it messages in your phone or notes, post-it notes, whatever it is, of making sure that those things got done. So I want to conclude with this, that without a system of priorities, important things can be left undone. That's what we're trying to avoid. We want to make all the deadlines. With all the emails, all the colleges that I'm employed by and all the things, I rarely ever miss a deadline. Not because I have that great a memory, but because I have a system of priorities. We want to make sure that unimportant things don't receive too much time and attention. And if we don't prioritize, this thing is more important than that, this thing is due right now, then we can end up dropping an important ball, and that can be devastating. So identifying our top priorities allows us to focus our attention on what really needs to get done, how well they should be done, when or if they get done. We may make sure that we prioritize, and then what we determine is important. I mentioned missing my wife's birthday. That's family. Family's high on the list. And so I want to make sure I don't miss those things. So if I prioritize them as being important, I get to pick what's important. We talked about health today. if that's one of the things on my list, I need to make sure that I prioritize my life and my time. We talked about stress as well, managing those things as being a priority, and then we get those things done. We talked about study tips. Those have to be priorities if we're going to get our studies done. Whether it is career or school, we have to make sure that all these things get the proper time and attention. And if we realize that there's a system that we can use for that, we'll be a lot more successful. So I thank you for this time. And what I'm going to do is put my email in the chat, and I'll also give you the link to this training seminar that I went to in case you're interested in that. It's about $150. It is excellent if you're overwhelmed, if you have a lot to do and want to make sure that you're successful at properly prioritizing and managing your affairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. I'm getting messages. People are asking, is this being recorded? Yes, it is being recorded, and it will be available somewhere eventually. More on that later. Okay, we're going to have one more and then another giveaway. And that's going to be Isaiah Whitfield, who, again, Isaiah and I have only met via email. So I want to say hello to you in person, and I look forward.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. Just a quick introduction. My name is Isaiah Whitfield, counseling faculty in the EOPS department. I've been at Chafee for about 6 years. This is my 6th year here. I started as a success guy in the fall of 2015 and became an adjunct EOPS counselor and guidance to instructor in the spring of 2017. My topic today is going to be buying your first property. Now, research has shown that the first-time home buyers, on average, keep a property between 10 and 13 years. So what that tells me is that the property is not necessarily their forever home. So that's a wonderful opportunity for you to build wealth and create a passive income. We want to start by understanding the difference between a liability and an asset. Now, Robert Kiyosaki defines liability as anything that takes money out of your pocket, whereas an asset is anything that puts money into your pocket. So if we're working with that definition, purchasing a home would be a large liability. Now, in 2014 is when me and my wife bought our first property. At that time, she was making $8 an hour. She had just graduated with her master's, and that was her first intern. Her second intern, she was making about $10.50 an hour. And I was in my last year of my master's program, and we had our son on the way, and I was making $14 an hour. It's not your salary that makes you rich. It's your spending habits. That's a quote by Charles Jaffe. I don't necessarily like the word rich, but I like the quote. And I'll say that as to prior to our first purchase in 2014, and 2012 is when we decided that, okay, we wanted to buy a home. And mind you, I said home and not property. At that time in 2012, my mindset wasn't passive income. I didn't know the difference between a liability and asset. I didn't know how long mortgages worked. And I thought that, and I didn't understand that home is wherever you and your significant other rest your head, right? My mindset was basically the Monopoly board game. That's what I knew. I want to buy property, and that's how I want to build my wealth. However, the Monopoly board game does not have property taxes. It doesn't have interest rates. So there's a lot of things that I was missing at that time. The second part of that quote is spending habits. So at that time in 2012, I decided to adopt the envelope system. So I spent 2 months of researching any variable expenses that we had. I had my wife keep all the receipts from gas, from groceries. Anytime we went out, we kept those receipts. And in 2 months, I collected all of that data and decided, okay, this is the budget that we're going to work on. And I put all of that money, every time we got paid, we put all of that money in the envelope. So we had money for gas, we had money for groceries. If we got to a point where we were trying to go see family and there was nothing in that envelope, we weren't seeing family that day. We were going to call them and say, hey, look, you can come to the house, or we'll see you next week whenever we get paid. So it's really just a matter of us changing the way we're thinking. I read a comment the other day that said knowledge is not enough, that knowledge must be applied. So you guys are getting a lot of jewels from a lot of individuals today, but if you don't apply it, then it's nothing, right? One thing I'll also say here is don't be fooled or blinded by the flash. I grew up in South Central LA. I looked at Jordans as someone being very wealthy and very rich. And we see BMWs and Lexus, and sometimes we get blinded by the flash, but we need to understand that a lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. We're dealing with massive credit card debt. And a recent study showed that 40% of Americans can't even afford to have a $400 emergency fund at this time. So how do we flip that liability from buying our first property into an asset? Here are some key things that I think you guys should take note of. A duplex. So if I could start all over, I would start with a duplex as opposed to a single family residence. A duplex will have multiple properties on one land. So while you're collecting rent on those first 2 homes, you sit in the back, smaller home, but you can collect that rent and that can pay for your mortgage. Lot size. If you have to go with a single family home, think about purchasing a home that has a large lot size. That way you can build on that land, or the layout of that property. So make sure that you probably find 1 or 2 rooms that are kind of isolated from the rest of the house. That way you can rent that room out and create passive income that way, which can help with the mortgage and the interest rate that you will accrue. The other thing is look outside of California. A lot of times we want to buy a home in California, but we don't understand that there are a lot of homes that are affordable that give us a lot of return on our investment in other states and other cities. Self-educate. A lot of this is just my own experience and just reading books. It's not something that I learned in K through 12 or even in college for that matter. And then again, applying that knowledge. Check your spending habits. I would avoid condominiums and townhomes because they come with HOA fees. And the 2 things that I would probably say that I would hope that you all would think about doing and getting and researching after this is all over is your real estate license and an LLC. Real estate license and an LLC. You don't have to be a real estate agent or anything. That doesn't have to be your full-time job, but you can have access to properties when you have that license. And the last thing, and I'll close with this, is give back. Whenever you do, always be mindful to give back, whether that's through word or anything. Be a blessing to others, because I truly am believe that every day is a blessing for me. So I try to give back as much as I possibly can and be a blessing to others. For the individuals that put this together, thank you so much. Thank you for reaching out. I'm so glad to be a part of this event, and I look forward to any other events that we may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, wonderful. A couple things real quick. Dr. Calendris, I need you to help introduce Dominic Johnson. I said there was going to be a commercial break. One more, and then a giveaway. Also, Isaiah, I just want to say thank you to Isaiah again. He's thanking the people who put this on. I forgot to mention Paula George helped me as well. And everybody stay tuned because we got a heavy hitter at the end. We got Dr. Shannon at the end. So I want to try and show a video from one of our colleagues who couldn't make it. And while I'm pulling this up, I'm going to mute myself. And Dr. Calendris, can you tell us where Dominic Johnson works in case people want to get it after this powerful video, which he'll explain it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Dominic Johnson is a counselor, a general counselor. Dominic has been here, I'm just going off my memory, possibly, I would say more than 10 years. He has worked as an adjunct. He has worked between 2 colleges, Chaffey College and San Bernardino Valley. I know at least 4 years ago, maybe 3, he got married, and now they have a beautiful son who is 7 months old. And what amazes me about Dominic is when he left, he took paternity leave. Before he left, he was our shiny young man. And he came back, he's still shiny, but he's got this hair on his face and afro. And so all of this paternity time has certainly grown him into a beautiful father. So without any further delay, we will hear from Dominic Johnson.
Can we hear him? Or did I hit the right button?
No, we couldn't hear.
Couldn't hear him. All right, I thought so. Share the sound, and we're gonna get it back. We're gonna get it back. Hold on.
Dominic grew up in the Bay Area and attended an HBCU.
You can see him, yes?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Johnson. I'm one of the counselors with the emotional
Good audio.
program at Chaffey College.
Yes.
We're glad to be here with you celebrating.
Sound went out.
You got to keep yourself unmuted, Charles.
May be relevant for some of you, or maybe none of you. And if it's not, that's okay. I'm just talking about my personal experiences. I'm a new father. I have a 8-month-old son named Ezra, And I just thought I would share a little bit about my experience being a new father, and just sharing one specific tool that I use to help me hold my son, help put him to sleep, help calm him down. That's also helped me to overcome some or deal with some wrist issues and some back issues. So, like I said, again, I'm a new father of a healthy boy, and every day is something new. I'm learning about his motor skills, development, his overall health. So one of the things, this is probably one of the best things I've ever done in my life is becoming a father, and I hope you all have the opportunity, if you choose to have your own children, to get to experience that as well. So with my son, I hold him, obviously, just like all parents do, hold their child. So I hold my son with his behind down here. So I'm holding, have my hand on his back, one under his behind, his leg, kind of cupping him. So most of the weight of my son is going to be on my right hand. I'm right-handed. So my son weighs about 15 pounds. And in the grand scheme of things, it's not very heavy, but holding that 15 pounds throughout the day, carrying him when he's sleeping, or just things like that, I started to develop like some wrist issues or some discomfort, like straining. I think, and I'm assuming it's due to that weight over the course of his life. So that's something I've experienced. Also holding my son, I've noticed that my posture is like I'm kind of leaning forward with his weight. So I'm walking kind of like this. Sometimes my posture is not as good as it normally it should be, with my back and shoulders out, right? So that's also something too that I've been dealing with. So my wife has been using a sling or baby wrap forever. Like I'm fine with it. But now, since it started to affect my ability to exercise, and just having some discomfort here and there, and even at times made it difficult for me to hold my son, because that's like, I start feeling that pain, like I gotta put you down, so your overall health, taking care of your body is something that's important. Obviously, having a family, you want to make sure you're doing things, eating right, getting to sleep, things like that, that's going to help you to have longevity, so you can be around to play and engage with your family and things like that. So I'm just going to be showing you today how to use a sling, how to put it on. So the sling or baby wrap, if you've never seen one before, and you probably have, they're common across the world. They use them. But again, like I said, it's a great resource that if you're not using one of the baby carriers or a sling that's already set up, you just hook your arms in like a backpack. This is a great option. So just want to go through this. So here is here you'll see that there's a little, like a little circle with a little writing on. That's just that this is the middle. This is where it goes. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna wrap this around the front. Okay. You put this here. You're gonna go around. Okay, and then what you're gonna do is you're just gonna bring this over your shoulder, both sides. So you're gonna make like an X, like with suspenders. Right. So again, it's still centered, and if you see in the back, you see it crossed. Right, like an X, like suspenders. So what you're going to do is you want to make sure this is pretty tight, and make sure it's secure, because this is what's going to go to hold your baby up. In addition to this, so you want to make sure that you pull it, make sure it's tight, not too tight where it's cutting off circulation or it's discomfort, it's not comfortable for you. So once you pull it through, right, give it a good pull. What you're going to do is you're going to grab it. So it's kind of like this next part, like tying a tie. You're going to open this part up, okay? You're going to go in and drop it through, pull that through, the one go through, there you go. All right, so we're going to pull that through, okay? Again, you can go ahead and pull this again. You want to make sure that it's tight, right? You want to make sure these are open. All right, there we go. So you're going to go ahead and pull it, then you're going to cross them. All right, once you cross them, you're going to go ahead, and again, you can go ahead and give them pull well. You're going to pull this around your back. You're going to pull around the front. This one I did pretty good. It's going to be pretty secure. You're going to tie it, make a little knot here on the side, or wherever it comes out for you. Do a double, make sure it's secure. So then again, you have the bottom part here. You can go ahead and kind of open it up a little bit. So you have one that's closest to you and then the one that's furthest from you. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your child. I don't have my son with me at this very moment. I'm going to use the Elmo doll. You can put your baby in here facing forward or facing you. I typically have him facing me. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your leg into the one that's closest to you, the strap. So you're going to open it up, put the leg through, okay? And then you're going to pull the other side up, put his hands in, okay? You're going to pull this up. Like a little strap. You see it curled over his behind a little bit, put it over his shoulders. And you're going to go ahead and do the next leg for the other strap. Put his leg through. You're going to go ahead and pull this part. See that? Okay. And then we're going to take the bottom part and we're going to go ahead and put his legs underneath. We're going to bring this up. And then here you can see again, there's that middle dot that shows this is the middle. You're going to bring this up. And now you'll see that the baby should be secure closely to you. It might be a little tight, and that's okay. Babies like being tight, but you'll see that ultimately you do not need your hands to hold the baby. Okay, so that kind of again alleviates the weight on your hand. This also helps with your back posture. Again, the baby should be secure, right? For you to move. You can put this up higher if you need to, or maybe a little bit lower, but basically the baby is secure. It allows your hands free. You can do what you need to do. If you're studying, you're typing, you're reading a book, you're washing dishes. Again, as a king, you may have other responsibilities. You may be the primary caretaker or have your son. This allows you to go do your day-to-day activities with him being secure. So this is just a sling to take the baby out. Just go ahead and pull this down, open their arms up, bring them out, and there you go. I hope this has been helpful. Again, if it's not relevant for you right now, maybe it might be in the future. But again, baby sling is something that helped my family. So just want to share that with you all as well. So again, happy Black History Month. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And I look forward to seeing you online or in person in the near future. Thank you.
Sorry about the technical glitch at the end, but where else are you going to get this? All of this type of information. This is mind blowing. I'll put the link to that in the chat if you want to watch it again and study it. I wish I would have had that about 20 years ago. All right. Okay. We've got a few more. This is the technical part of the presentation. We just had that. I'm gonna have another quick giveaway in a moment, and then we're gonna go through with Donald Essex. Sorry, I apologize. I mispronounced your last name. And if we have time, I might jump in and share a little bit, but then we have Dr. Henry Shannon. So here is one more commercial break. And I want you to, okay, before I show it, this is a two-parter. I want you to be able to identify the person, the first person in the chat. So my team, help me out, because they might get this one off the top. So you have to identify the person, and let's go, you have to say first and last name. All right. And the second thing is, okay, let's see if we know who it is first. Here we go. Okay. Has anybody typed it in the chat yet? Any names? I can't see the chat for some reason.
Yes, we already got Huey P. Newton.
Okay, great. We got that. All right. Now, that winner, make sure you remember who the winner of that is.
Donald Essex.
Donald Essex. Okay, good. He's about to present. Now, here's the part two. What's his highest level of education? Oh, wait. Take that back. What's his highest level of education?
Okay, we got a couple of people answered. Let's see.
Let's hear them because it's a tricky. I asked the question in an awkward way. What are they saying?
PhD, doctorate.
Oh.
PhD.
Oh, okay. I got to do it again. All right. Huey P. Newton was the leader of the Black Panther Party. At the time that he was the leader of the Black Panther Party, what was his highest level of education? Somebody got really technical on that. They were right, but at the time that he started it, what was his highest level? What are we getting? Anybody?
high school, community college, 8th grade, associate's degree.
Anybody who says associate's degree or community college, let's give them some points. Let's acknowledge their name. Yes, and that's what I wanted to point out. This is agency. This is someone who was, I hear he was sort of ditching his classes, but he was at least enrolled. And he and his friend Bobby Seale, they decided to be agents of change. Now, nice contrast against Duke Ellington. Huey P. Newton is sitting there in a stage photo that they took as a joke, but he's connected to anti-police brutality. That's his initial movement. And so that's one of the things that I wanted to just highlight here on King's Day, people who do things like that. Now, what I'll also do is I'll drop a link to an article written by Eldridge Cleaver about how he first met Huey P. Newton and the Black Panthers. And it says a lot about leadership. And it also says a lot about confidence. Okay, well, enough of that. Let's move on with the show. And we've got Donald Essex.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Donald Essex. I am faculty, counseling faculty in Disability Programs and Services, also known as DPS here at Chaffey College. I am C2 in my second year, and I too am graduate of HBCU, historically black college and universities. Actually, all of my education is in HBCU. I went to Morehouse for my undergraduate. I went to Clark Atlanta for my first master's, and then I went to Fort Valley State University for my second master's. And with that being in mind, some of you who know Morehouse history, one of the things that you will know that we are infamous for our bow ties. And so, interestingly enough, while I did not learn how to tie a bow tie while at Morehouse, I did learn how to tie it at one of my fraternity conventions. I'm also a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. But just to kind of give you all a real quick overview, I was going to also copy a link in the chat, but those links are, they all are pretty much the same. However, I like the fact that, with the regular bow ties, to me, it's more classy. So in coordinates with, King's Day and everything that everyone has talked about, I'm big on, mind, body, and spirit. So again, when you talk about physical health, when you talk about mental health, when you're talking about education, when it's all said and done, if you look good, you feel good. And you might have all seen me walk around campus with the shirt and tie on, and that's primarily because of my personal preference in that when I dress up, I feel like I'm more productive. I feel like I'm more productive. I feel good about myself, and therefore I feel good about, my job, Chaffey College, and what I'm presenting. But basically, it's similar to a regular bow tie. I mean, a regular tie. But what I'm going to do is thank you, Tiffany. So you guys can kind of see it. But it's basically, it's uneven. And then what you will notice too is about the hand done bow ties. As you can see, this is reversible. So on one side is one color, and then on the other side is another color. So, you can get really creative with it. But basically what you're going to do is you have one side longer than the other, and similar to Dominic's presentation, you're gonna cross it over like a regular bow tie, right? And you're gonna pull it through. And then basically, once it's one end is higher than the other, I'm left-handed, so mine is gonna be kind of, backwards. But with the bow on the bottom, this is the one that you're gonna take to create your bow. Okay. And then the one that was on top, this is where you're gonna show how you hold it together, right? But what you're gonna see up underneath right here, where my thumb is holding it together, you're gonna just keep that as a little placeholder because you'll see right here with this one, I'm making like a little hole, right? And then what you're gonna do is from this end, all you're really gonna do is just push it through. Now, again, if it's just a regular solid bow tie, right? Here, because what ultimately will happen is you'll have one in the front and one in the back. So you will pull it through. That's the part that kind of gets it. All right. So I'm still holding on to that bow part, because the way that you tighten it is you basically pull the two bows together, right? Now, and then you pull the ends and just keep pulling the bows to tighten it. Now, as you can see, when I first started, so sometimes, again, with the double reversible ones, you can take the little bow, not the bow, but the little flap, and you can flip it so that, you know, it gives you that reverse look that you're seeing. So for example, you'll see on the front part, it's the purple, and then, but beneath you have like the other color. Okay. And so that's pretty much quick version of it. I actually learned how to do this like 5 minutes with the assistance of my frat brother. But it takes a little time. Sometimes when you first start, this little part right here might be a little bit uneven, but you know, you just kind of fix it and you just continue to buff out the bow. And that's the thing that I like about it, because with the clip-ons, it's not as thick. It's pretty like flat, so to speak. But yeah, for me, whether you're going to a gala or again, a conference, a wedding, it's always good to have your own self-done bow tie. So that's my contribution for King's Day. Again, I love bow ties. I have a lot of bow ties. And as a consolation prize gift, Charles, I would, you know, the next time you decide to do a prize, I'd be willing to donate a bow tie for that winner. And just for clarification purposes, in that last one, actually, Tony, well, Thomas was the first one who got the correct answer with Huey P. Newton, but then since he won the last time, the next person was Tony Merriweather. So I don't want to take nobody's gift.
But yeah, I made the correction on my screen. It showed your name first, but then Tiffany pointed out that it was actually Thomas first. So I made the correction.
Okay, cool. And so that's how you do a do-it-yourself bow tie.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's a complicated process and you simplified it well for us. I appreciate it. And again, this is recorded. So if you didn't get it the first time, you can find this link, which we'll post somewhere, and we will, you can watch it. Okay, we're almost at the end of our program. We've got Dr. Shannon, who's going to cap this all off for us. Again, I just want to thank all the presenters and all the people who kind of put this together. Tiffany behind the scenes, managing everything, Nick, Kimmy, Dr. Calendris, everybody. Okay, so having said all of that, I am going to turn it over to you, Dr. Shannon.
Professor Williams, all of you, Dr. Calendris, Tiffany, Kimmy, Charles, this has been fantastic. What can I say but just much appreciate all of what's been said. I've learned a lot. Fixed a bow tie. I didn't go to Morehouse, but I did go to HBCU, Harris Stokes State University in St. Louis. I'm in the bedroom of my grandchildren, and behind you see a sign. It says, "I love you, to the moon and back. We have 5-year-old. My wife and I have been married 50 years as of the 1st of January. And my youngest daughter was widowed because her husband had gone to Tuskegee, HBCU also, and he died of a heart attack. So we're helping her raise her children here in California. We're also helping to raise a 17-year-old grandson. So I'm saying all this to say that the 3 things that I think I value most, my wife and I call the 3 F's: faith, family, and friends. And for us, it's my theme today is be a beacon for others. And we value that. We value being a beacon for our family, for our community, for our college. As many of you know, I've been at Chafee nearly 14 years. I came from St. Louis. I was chancellor of the St. Louis system, but I've been a college president since the early 90s. But I can tell you, I stand on the shoulders of many, many people who have helped me get where I am today. The Black History Month program that we have, African American History Month, I value that because as folks of color, you look about the struggle that has gone on. I would not be here without people who have laid the groundwork for me, including my grandmother, who often said to me as a child how important education was. In fact, I talk about the fact that she named me professor as a 3 or 4-year-old. And that to me, I couldn't even spell it, didn't know what it was, but I grew into education, as you have seen my career over the years. I was fortunate in growing up in St. Louis to have the opportunity to have people around me, my family, who valued education. I was at a point when I finished high school deciding where I was going to either go into the service or go into college. I had several academic scholarships. But as you know, people of color oftentimes, especially from the inner city, you're struggling with all the choices that you see. I have many friends who were into drugs and doing other things in the projects that chose other careers, oftentimes leading to their death at a very premature age. The whole complex of the prisons that we're competing with in higher education sometimes has gotten the grip on them. A friend of mine went into the service and I chose to go to college. And that was the best choice for me because I met my wife while in college, and we've been together over 53 years now, married 50 years. But I can say to you is that was a good decision for me. But for all of us, in terms of being a beacon, I think it's important that as you hear the presentations that were given by the young men today, fraternity. I joined a fraternity. I'm Phi Beta Sigma, not a Kappa or Alpha. But the whole notion there was the fact that I had a network of men and also women in the sororities who helped us develop as people. The wisdom that I learned from the older women and men in the fraternity, helping us to make sure we stay on the path of success. Because it's important that if you start at a community college or go to a university, you got to make sure that you succeed and not stop. I was always encouraged to succeed and was mentored. Had a cousin who encouraged me to get a master's degree and a doctorate degree. My background is in counseling, as Dr. Colonus can tell you. It's important that you love yourself. You know, we talk about being successful and loving thyself. You can't help other people unless you love yourself. And part of that means that loving yourself helps you help other people. My grandmother always said to all of us, it's important to give back. So as you think about those of you who are in college now, as you're going through classes, help someone else. We live in a very critical time with the pandemic now, and reaching out to help someone else, being a model for somebody else, helping them succeed. What has helped to me understand the need for a Chafee College is that we are providing a lift up for a lot of folks in our classrooms, in our counseling areas, in our financial aid areas. We are changing lives. These lives that we're changing helps change our community. And we can't do it unless you are there giving back. So the idea of faith, family, and friends is not just words, but it's in deed. Living and breathing, walking the walk, and talking the talk is really critical. So as I hear and see all the nuggets of information I've seen today, I'm excited. I think that I've learned a lot. Don, I need to learn how to fix a bow tie. You know, we didn't learn that as a Phi Beta Sigma, but I can do that now since you've shown us how to do that. But also the fact that with the grandchildren I have, we have 10 grandchildren, helping them grow as people. You don't realize how they watch and understand what you're doing. They mimic you. They, as you know, as you've grown up yourselves, you have role models that you've seen. It's important that we all be the right role models for other people, male, female, you name it, because people look at what you do and talk about the fact that in this society that we see in, you've got to make a difference yourself. The self-empowerment, the fact that you can control who you are and what you do is so, so important. So be this beacon. You know, you think about the lighthouse in the ocean. I want to make sure that people talk about me when I'm not here as being a person who has accepted the fact that I have had an influence in helping other people succeed. And that's what it's all about. You know, the legacy that you leave, the legacy that you have is what you do each and every day with these 3 F's. So I want to be a beacon, continue to be a beacon. You be a beacon, be excited and enjoy the information you've gotten from these presenters today. And I think it's just so exciting. I'm just excited about today. So Professor Williams, thanks for letting me be a part of this program today. And it's fulfilling to me, and I'm excited. I'd probably passed my time now, so I can really talk too much. But thank you so much. Let me be part of today's program.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of it. Okay, well, our time is almost up, and I'm not exactly sure if I see Dr. Kalunta. Okay. Well, we've got like literally 90 seconds before we wrap this all up. I was just going to say manifest, that's the theme. Dr. Kalunta, jump in if you want to wrap it up and remind everybody that you want to apply this stuff. You want to manifest a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. And if you can't apply it personally, share it with someone else.
Thank you, Charles. I want to thank you and everyone who assisted you in putting this together. I want to say that we've gone through it all. We've outdone Atlanta Housewives, all of them. We've got the kings of Chaffey College, and I am so happy along with you, Dr. Shannon. This is my 32nd year, including part-time. I have worked so hard to try to bring Black males together, and you guys did it. We are creating that legacy of building a family of Black administrators, staff, and faculty on Chaffey College. I am so proud of you. Please continue, Kings of Chaffey College. Please continue the work. Let's all grow this legacy together. Want to thank everyone behind the scenes, everyone who stayed and participated. We could go on and on. We promise you that we will find a place to show this recording, and it will be shared with everyone who participated today. Let's leave here with feeling good, knowing we've done well, and that we've contributed to the legacy of Chaffey College, Black faculty, administrators, and staff. Thank you. Can we get some music going out?
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day. Charles, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we just had intro music. I didn't think about
Exiting music.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll just enjoy the moment. We'll enjoy the moment.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon.
Thank you, Dr. Shannon.
Welcome.
I also
Charles,
put the
Charles,
link in the chat for the how to tie a bow tie as well.
Thank you. And I forgot to put Dominique's